Welcome back to the podcast. This week, we're sharing one of my favourite episodes so far, part of our new series of recap episodes. While we're busy producing new content for the podcast, YouTube, and our brand new Patreon channel. That's right, Connect, Curate, Create is now on Patreon. It's a dedicated space to learn, share, and grow together. And here's why we built it. Do you feel like your art is being seen by the right people? Are you getting the kind of feedback that actually helps you grow? Do you have a space where you can learn with other artists who really get what you're doing? If you answered no to any of these questions, Connect, Curate, Create is here for you. Our Patreon community gets exclusive and early access to content, behind the scenes videos, key takeaways from episodes and events, access to live discussions with our guests, and so much more. So, if you're ready to grow your creative practice with the support of a collaborative learning community, click the Patreon link in the show notes and join us today. Now, let's get into another brilliant episode, packed with ideas and inspiration for your own creative journey. I'm here in George Kennedy's studio. George, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to finding out what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, look, that's the thing is we never know where we're heading with this. We're surrounded by all this inspiration from your work, and you've just come to the end of something huge, and we'll get to that. But I think so I've been down here at the invitation. Well, I've been here for a couple of reasons. I came down for Hobart Zine Fair, sell my zines. But one of the things that came about was Maggie Jeffries, who was on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, invited me to her studio again to meet a few artists. And also, Maggie introduced me to you, George. So that's just a wonderful thing that seems to be happening for the podcast now is podcast guests just sharing their connections and passing on the love, I guess. So yeah. No.
Yeah, it's a really good little community here because, I mean, there's a few of us, but we all do know each other. It's classic Tasmania, and we do like to sort of get an opportunity, send it along, and pass it around, and it's really nice, yeah.
Yeah. So how do you know Maggie?
I honestly can't remember when we first met. I think it was just when she was on her way out of art school. I was a few years below her. And there's this sort of funny thing that happens to me, I don't know if other people relate, where I know people's artworks before I know the people, and I know their paintings. Or like I'll meet someone, not really know who they are, and someone goes, oh, well, they paint like this. And I'm like, oh, been following their work for years. So I think I probably knew her paintings before I knew her. But, oh yeah, we've been friends for years now. And so my show opens next week. And in the lead up to this show, she has been like my biggest support. I've messaged her like every single day with an update of a painting being like, what do you think? Like, what should I do? Is this working? Is it not working? So I've been a pretty high maintenance friend, but she has been the most incredible support all year. It's been amazing.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Maggie talks about this in her episode about she will send, probably does it with you, like a little thumbnail of something that she's working on at the moment. And yeah, so is that how you've been?
Yeah, and we swap back and forth. So next year she's got a solo show, and she'll be sending me messages, updates, and we send voice messages. So looking back through our chat, it's just thousands and thousands of like, sometimes we reach the 10-minute limit. And it cuts you off because we're like talking about paintings and, whatever. It's almost 90% talking about paintings.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so helpful to have, especially after leaving art school when you've got your mentors, your lecturers, your teachers, you've got the art techs in the studios, and you've got all of your peers to lean on. You've got cubicle studios next to each other and you just walk past and go, hey, what do you reckon? And just all those little informal chats that are really important that suddenly you end up in a studio in your shed at your house and you don't really get that anymore. So you've got to find your own way of getting feedback.
Yeah. So, having a close friend and colleague like Maggie.
Yep.
But then the broader community as well.
Yeah, and there have been a few opportunities for me to show parts of my body of work. So there's Kickstart Arts. I think there's like a fortnightly critique session. And I just never made it out because I was so run off my feet trying to get all these paintings done. I think it was actually good for me though, because I found myself at uni. I didn't really have my creative voice super concrete yet. So every time there was a critique, it would throw me off course a bit because I'd take it on a bit too strongly. I go, oh, maybe I should be doing what they've said. And then I'd have to sort of course correct because I'd go down the wrong avenue. So this year I haven't really had anyone tell me which direction to go, and I've just done exactly what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not perfect and I can refine it in my next show, get more feedback for that. But I think it was really important this year not to have too much feedback.
Yeah.
Just a couple of friends that I was messaging saying, if something was really not working, or saying that's really strong, if you're enjoying that, maybe do a bit more of that sort of thing.
Yes.
And that was perfect for this year.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I like that. If you're enjoying that, follow that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, well, my friends are really like gentle critique givers. They're not like, hey, that's a bit shit. They're more going to be like, that one's really strong, and maybe just not mention the one that's a bit shit. Yeah.
Yeah. The importance of for those who critique to understand how to critique.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And like I was having a chat with Maggie the other day, and I think you guys talked about it on her podcast episode. Some of the best critique you can get is just someone giving their really raw and honest, immediate response on what they get out of a painting, and then nothing beyond that. Sometimes that's the most helpful because as an artist, you are just trying to communicate with people through your paintings or whatever your medium is. And for someone to be like, this is what I see, this is what I feel. And you go, oh, that's what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
And then if they see and feel something else, you go, okay, I've missed the mark a bit, especially if a lot of people are saying that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you've talked about art school, and I want to go back there. But something that strikes me is, whilst both you and Maggie paint, the end product seems very different to me. So how does that dynamic work when you're is the practice essentially the same? Are you working with the same materials?
Yeah, essentially the same materials. A really different process. So like when my painting is 20% done versus when hers is 20% done, we have a really different way of approaching the finish line. Hers is still really intuitive. I think we're both quite intuitive painters, but like a bit more methodical, maybe a bit more, what's the word? Just well thought out. I'm not sure if she'd agree with that, but she works really slowly and intentionally, and I don't. I'm pretty chaotic. You can probably tell from all of this. I'm sitting on a chair with a skateboard on it, and my studio is just in shambles all the time. That kind of is reflective of my painting practice. So I'd say almost like the first 80% of a painting is just me pretty much making stuff up. I've got all these drawings, little fragments I'm pulling together, and it's that last 20% that I always put off. So I'll have 10 paintings on the go that are all at about 80% finished, because that last 20% is really hard because I have to actually focus on resolving it all. But the first 80% is so fun.
Yeah.
I'll have 20 paintings even, just all at 80% finished.
Oh, wow.
Because I just love that first bit. It's so loose, it's so free, and just like pure creativity. I don't have to worry about it looking good or anything like that. And then that last bit, it's a slog. Satisfying slog, but that's the hard part for me.
And yeah. How do you know when it's done?
It's not super obvious. A lot of the time I never used to do this. This is something I've only just figured out how to do. I'll put it away for 2 weeks. So when I feel like I'm not really sure, I put it away. Because in the past, I've ruined so many paintings by not realising it's finished, doing something drastic to it, and then looking back at the photo from a few weeks ago and going, oh my God, it was so much better than it was finished. So now it's good. I'll put it away for 2 weeks. I'll face it against the wall. I won't even look at it. I'll come back in with fresh eyes, maybe have some feedback from Maggie or a couple of other friends, and they can sort of help me go, yeah, you can leave that one alone now. So it's hard to know.
Yeah. And the other question that came up for me was just, I suppose it's a statement more than a question, but what strikes me is that
whilst you and Maggie have similar yet different approaches, it seems like you understand each other's practice on a really deep level, the way you've just described it.
Yeah. And I'm not sure why that is. I think it's just because we've been friends for quite a number of years now.
Yeah.
And we have spent a lot of time in each other's studios. And we were in a show together, the one I was talking about before, where we did ceramic works.
Yeah.
And so we'd have these sort of field trip days where we'd go down to Glen Huon, and there'd be the six of us just sort of working all together. And I guess we just got to know each other's practices pretty well.
Okay.
And just through those phone updates and things, you get to more intimately understand why someone's painting what they're painting, how they paint. And yeah, that sort of emotional connection.
Yeah. So the listeners, we were having a very long conversation before the recording because it took me so long to get set up. And but you were telling me, George, about this ceramics retreat. None of you are ceramicists, but is it so the six of you are all connected through?
Yeah, so we're all with Despard Gallery, and at the time it was, I think, the 5 or 6 youngest painters with the gallery, and it was a special exhibition of ceramic works and painting works. So we went and did all these workshops with Zsolt Faludi, who is a Hungarian ceramicist, and he lives with like 200 chickens, and he would make this big spread. We'd have like a feast, we'd have some wine, then we'd go back to the studio space, and he'd teach us all the basics. And it was kind of like being in kinder playing with Play-Doh. Like, none of us knew what we were doing, but we were having so much fun. And I think that really came across, just the fun we had.
Yeah.
And that really translated in the gallery space. People could see how much fun we'd had, and they really, really liked them. It was quite a successful show. And then we did paintings in response to the skills that we'd learned or developed while making the pots. So like mark making, or just like the sort of tactile elements of playing with something in 3D and then trying to paint in response to that.
Yeah.
It was a really interesting show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, sorry, I missed it.
Yeah, it was a couple of years ago now.
Yeah.
Hopefully they do another special show like that.
Yeah.
That would be really cool. Some more collaborative stuff between artists. I think people would be really open to that.
Yeah, sure. Now let's go back. I always ask people, where did it all begin? You've mentioned art school, but have you always considered yourself an artist?
I think I was a really creative kid. I loved drawing, and I could just spend hours and hours doing that. But I never thought of going to art school. I thought I had to be serious and do serious things. I went to private school, didn't do any art in high school. I dropped it after grade 8 when you're allowed to, and I just did maths and science.
Wow.
And when I was in year 12, I was driving to the university to do university calculus while I was still in college, because I wanted to be an engineer for some reason. And I tried that. I only lasted 6 months, dropped out, kept trying degrees that I thought were serious, kept getting depressed, dropping out. Finally just thought, I've been painting in my spare time just for the fun of it, had no idea what I was doing. And then I sent in a little folio of work, not thinking that I'd get in. I didn't know how strict they were on letting people in. They let me in, and it took me 5 years to get my undergrad. So I think I was at university for every year after college for about 10 years. It took me 10 years to finally get my bachelor's in anything. So,
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And I got it in art. So, yeah.
Amazing.
Yep. It was a long way to get there, but I'm kind of glad I started a bit later. I think if I went to art school when I was 18, I would have just gone to the pub every night.
Yeah.
And not made any art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, regular listeners know this about me. I did engineering, and maybe that was good for me too as well. I probably would have been at the pub a lot too if I'd gone to art school too soon. But yeah, no, so you would have been at art school. Based on what I know of. You said in relation to Maggie, we won't keep talking about Maggie, but we might come back to that because there's something else I know, that collaboration or something you're doing with Maggie. But so you would have been at art school sort of 2020-ish, around then?
I think I started in 2017.
Yeah.
And then didn't leave until 2021.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Okay. And that was honours year 2021.
Yep. Honours, which, yeah, I never finished.
No, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and you were telling me about that, but you were and also you were telling me how your practice has changed so much since leaving art school. Is that right?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, especially people who are now in galleries and making a career out of their art, I think a lot of them did go through school doing art, and they sort of started cultivating their voice when they were a bit younger, whereas I didn't start cultivating my artistic voice until I was about 23. And so I just wanted to try everything. I didn't want to sort of box myself into anything. I also just get bored really easily. So I would do something, really enjoy doing it, and then go, all right, put a lid on that, it's done, I'll try something else. So art school, like my final 6 months of undergrad, I stopped painting and decided I wanted to learn printmaking. And I just went into the printmaking studio and said, hey, I've never done a printmaking class. Can you just show me how to do this?
Awesome.
So my final works for undergrad were all prints.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think I'm just now starting to solidify that voice a bit. Because even my paintings, I did settle on painting eventually. I might find my way back to printmaking. I did really love it, and I've been thinking about it a bit lately. But I sort of landed on painting, but even that I've been doing sort of abstract, expressive stuff for the last few years, and only just finding my way back to something a bit more representational recently. So all over the place, but settling slowly.
Yeah. Okay. Right. And what led you to painting?
That is a really good question. I'm not sure. I just found like a simple joy in it before I went to art school. It was just a really nice way to spend time and I guess translate my surroundings into something that I understood. And I think that's probably carried through as well. I just, I do kind of paint as a way of almost figuring things out, because I always paint place, wherever that might be. I've done a few residencies and I really settle into painting what my immediate surroundings are. So my paintings for this solo show coming up next week, it's all based around my home here in Rokeby, because I've always lived within a 5-kilometre radius of where we are now.
Okay.
I grew up over that hill, teenage years over that hill, and then ended up here. So I'm really familiar with this area, and I grew up in all these bushlands, and I'm really, really fond of them. And I just, I don't know what it is. There's just a drive to recreate that and share it with people.
Yes.
Yeah. I can't remember your original question, but...
What led you to painting?
Yeah.
So why paint this landscape, this place?
I'm not really sure. I actually, when I settled on this place, because I did try a lot of subjects throughout uni, and the continuing, recurring theme throughout when I look back is I always return to Suburbia and the bushlands, and I did actually start that with drawing and printmaking. But I think painting allows that extra level of intimacy, like there's a little bit more information in there, maybe a little bit more emotional quality to it. And yeah, there is something really intimate about paint, I think.
Yeah. Okay. And so here, this place, it's very meaningful to you, and preparing for this for your show, first solo show at Despard.
Yep, the big one.
Awesome. Well, this episode will go out after the opening.
Yep.
But how long is it on for? So
It's on for 3 weeks, so I think it's the 16th of October to the 9th of November.
Awesome. I'm back down in the beginning of November, so I'll come down for that then.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, no, I can't wait to see it, because something you said earlier about how you know someone through their work before you meet them. I've got a feeling I've seen your work. And
Possibly.
Yeah, I'm sure. Just from what you've shown me so far, but we've never encountered each other before.
Yeah.
So, but I really relate to your story of place here. You know, it's so I'm really interested in that. You know, I grew up in a small country town, and But my relationship with it is very much that I found something similar on the opposite side of the world, where I can where I am now discovering that new place. But for yourself, you're situated here, and so is it? You said, you sort of talked about an intimacy, and I'm thinking in one of your images that I've seen in the brochure you just showed me. There's the Golden Arches. Now the Golden Arches are everywhere in the world, but am I allowed to say that, by the way?
The Golden Arches, I'm not sure what you mean.
McDonald's.
Oh, right. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, you were looking at me and I was
like, what does that mean? I don't know if I've heard of it referred to that way.
It will be on the wall in the gallery by the time this goes to air. So yeah, no, I was just like, oh no, have I said, am I in breach of something?
No.
But yeah, look, I can. So that is something that is it's a global symbol that we all recognise instantly. No, but we might call it different things. But there's one here.
Yep. It's
right here, and it features in your work, and it's part of this suburban life. So is it? And what struck me about it is clearly there's a way you're seeing that as part of. It's going to be a recurring theme in your everyday. You could probably drive past it most days, I would have thought.
Yep.
And as a kid, you would have encountered it in different ways.
Well, yeah. The thing is, as a kid, that wasn't there. So the title of the show is The Same as Ever.
Yeah.
And that is sort of saying like things always change, the same as ever, because I do know this area so well. It's just unreal how much it has changed since I was a little kid. I used to, this was all fields, especially on that side of the highway. And we used to just go and play there. There was an abandoned quarry that's now filled in, and it has a new housing development on top. So things are changing. So I'm introducing these new elements, like the Macca's sign and that whole shopping centre and all of that painting has like a big field underneath it, and then sort of these houses stacking up. That painting I actually appropriated from an original artist from Rokeby from the 1800s. Her name was Mabel Hookey.
Right.
And she painted all these fields, all these hills, Druthi Point, Ralph's Bay behind us. And I'm painting the same areas, just how they've changed. So, I think it's quite fun to see the difference between our paintings, because there are some parts in my work that are still recognisable in hers.
Yeah. That's super cool.
Yeah, I don't even remember how I came across her, but her house, she was part of like sort of the wealthy family, because this was a colonial farming town.
Yes.
Big sandstone house up on the hill over here called Rokeby House. One of the only remaining sandstone buildings from that era in this area, because they all burnt down in 1967, and that's the only one left was her house.
Yeah. I think I read Truganini, and I think there's something in that book about the history of here, this area. I think anyway. Yeah, I'm not sure what I won't go down that route, but there's a lot of history here. Yeah, look, I'm looking at it this way because, there's that bushland you're referring to, the shopping centres over there. I did take a wrong turn here on my way here and see that they're like just a block away, they're building new homes again.
Yep.
So the same as ever. Let's get back to George. The same as ever. So it is constantly changing, constantly evolving. And I think we were talking about Queenstown earlier about, my understanding of post-industrial change. And so Rokeby was, as you say, farming land. There was a mine. So it's gone through different eras. And now you describe it as suburban.
Yep.
So it's a suburb of Hobart. People commute from here to Hobart, I assume.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so this was all, after it all burnt down in 1967, this suburb sort of sprouted out of that in the 70s as public housing. So these are all public houses, which are now, I think, 70 or 80% private owned now. So there's been a bit of a change there. I'm sure a lot of the families who have been here for 3 generations are very finely attuned to that change as well. There was a bit of pushback when we got this place, and people were sort of a bit uncertain about us, not huge fans of us. It's taken us 4 years, but we sort of know our neighbours now, and things have settled down a bit. But you do see pushback. There's, people are stealing cars. There was a car on fire just outside our house here about a year ago. Since we've been here, 3 houses have burnt down within like a couple of blocks of this place. So there is sort of like these almost like protest elements of people feeling destabilised and not really knowing what to do with that, feeling maybe a bit hopeless or helpless and pushing back in a destructive kind of way.
Yeah, I noticed the burnouts. There's some great donuts just a couple of blocks from here on the way in. Yeah, no, you feel it. You feel it, and and I think people know. You feel change, don't you? You feel change coming, and if you feel powerless to that change, you feel that you're going to ultimately be displaced, and you want to hang on to it, I suppose. So is that tension, is that what you're working with in your painting?
Yeah, I think so, definitely. And it feels weird being on the other side, I guess, coming in and buying one of these places. So I'm sort of contributing to that destabilization, but also I need a house. I need somewhere to live. So it's complicated for everybody, I suppose. And tension is a great word for it. And I try to convey that in my paintings, between the tension of sort of the beautiful aspects of living here and the beautiful elements of the bushland, but then also some of the harsher realities on top of that.
Yeah. And that's and the other thing is you are local.
I've always been here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and yet you as you say, it's taken you 4 years for people to get used to you being just in this specific locality. Yeah, and
I think we were talking about Queenstown before because I've spent a bit of time over there. It's really funny talking to the locals because you'll be chatting with someone because everyone's really friendly. You just talk to people on the street there and you go, "Oh, are you a local?" And they go, "Oh, no, I've only been here for 25 years." And that always cracks me up. And it's the same with people who move to Tasmania. And I'm like, "Oh, so you're from Tasmania?" They're like, "No, I've only been here with my husband for 40 years. I'm like, "You've been here longer than I have. You can call yourself Tasmanian. That's fine."
Yeah, that sense of belonging, that sense of place. As I say, I've moved to the other side of the world, and it is moving to this continent, and that I have understood my relationship with belonging and place. And so through your work, that's what is that what you're seeking to do?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I do feel like I belong here. So it's the only place I've ever known, but I don't know, I want to put my feelers out a little bit further and just really, really understand what's around me and why I connect with it and how I connect with it. And I couldn't tell you why that's important to me, but for some reason it is, because I've been doing it since I started art school. Like I said, tried heaps of different things, but looking back, this was the continual stream of thought, I suppose.
Yes. Yeah. So so you've got the show opening next week. You told me 37 paintings.
37, yep.
And 8 months of work?
A couple of them I had done last year, and they were sort of the catalyst for this show. But the rest I did across 8 months. That's every single day in the studio.
That's intense.
It was a lot. I don't know what to do with myself now. I really don't. I'm feeling very lost.
Yeah. Well, as I discovered setting up, the paint is still drying here on this. Yeah.
Yeah, I always get in trouble with the gallery because my paintings are always wet when I take them in. So they made sure to come in 2 weeks early, get all the photos and say, "You're not allowed to touch you're not allowed to touch these anymore.
Oh, I see.
But I did. Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
That's so cool. But yeah, look, I mean, if I don't know how many weeks there are in 8 months, and someone listening now has just already got the answer. But I'm guessing there's about 37 weeks in 8 months.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So it's basically one a week you've been working on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you were talking about before, 80%, put it away, 20%.
Yep. So it was kind of a wave of stress and then not stress, because I would get the start of 10 paintings done in like a fortnight, and then my stress would go right down because I'd be like, oh, I've got so much to show for it. And then I'd realise that they're not really 80% done, they're only 50% done, because the rest is actually really difficult. And then the stress would go back up. I go, I don't think I can do it. I've only got like however many weeks left. And so I just rotated. I'd had 30 paintings in here, moving them around, having a look at that one, sometimes just spending 20 minutes on it, putting it away, put the next one up, 2 hours on that. So yeah, it did technically work out to be one a week, but it was more like 37 in the last month, because that's when I finished them all.
Yeah, of course. And you have the one easel which is behind you.
I've got the one easel. I've got a little one just here.
Oh, yeah.
And then I've just got screws.
Yes.
In the studs in the wall behind me, so I can have one there, little one, and then one there. Sometimes I sit one on a milk crate and lean it up against my map drawers or something.
Mm-hmm. I can see actually. There's a sort of an inverse L shape here that frames all the blue text, all the blue writing. So it's sort of. So I'm guessing you've had a canvas there,
and then written around it.
Yeah.
Yep.
But anyone watching on YouTube is going to be absolutely intrigued by the wall and wondering why I haven't asked you anything about it yet. So George, tell us what. So this is a surface in which you can express ideas in ways other than just so you're working. So I suppose there's a question I did want to ask. Your subjects are all around, within a 5 mile radius, you suggested roughly. Do you go out and photograph and bring that back as reference, or do you go out? You mentioned sketching, so you go out. How do you bring that world into here, and then what do you do with it, and then how does this wall help you? So 3 questions. Tell us about your process.
I do start with drawings, and I've got map drawers just full of paper, and I love taking up sumi ink, Japanese ink. It's really, really beautiful, opaque, rich black.
This is what's behind you up here.
That actually, I ran out of my good ink. That's my dodgy ink, but yeah, pretty much.
But I know what you're referring to.
Basically,
what will be used for calligraphy?
Yeah, and so I don't usually use a brush. I usually take up a little pot full of ink, heaps of paper, and I just find sticks, and bits of bark or sticks, they actually hold the ink really well. And then I draw with that, and it's really scratchy, but I can get in the shapes I want, maybe some mark making, so a bit more of that loose, energetic drawing style. I also do take reference photos to work from, but if you look at the body of work, you can tell that some of the paintings, I haven't really referenced photos at all because they're a bit janky, the proportions are a bit off. And then some of them I've really tried, I've sort of lined things up, and I'm trying to get the proportions accurate. So it's a bit of both. I have a little book behind me, which is just all these collected drawings, totally different stuff, abstract stuff. I've copied things that people have written in graffiti and things like that, and they make their way into paintings as well. And so I'll just flip through the book and be like, oh, that looks like it'd be interesting in this painting. And then if I have an idea that I think is interesting, is that a lawnmower?
No, someone's drilling something. Oh, okay. It's fine.
I thought, oh God, lawnmower, that'd suck. Sometimes I just get an idea, and I know that if I don't write it there, I'm never going to think of it again. If I write it in a journal, I'm never going to look in it again. I've got 50 journals and I usually just open up a page at random. Like, I'm not actually journaling. I just want to write. Like, I just want to get the thought out. So they're really disorganized, really good to go through sometimes if I am feeling a bit stuck. But for the most part, if I want to remember something, it's got to go on this wall.
Okay.
Because if I don't say it, it's gone forever.
Yep. Yep.
So a lot of it is nonsense, and I never used it again, because not every thought is a good thought.
No.
Yeah. You might think it is in the moment, but upon reflection, it is pretty meaningless. So a lot of it's just a bit silly.
Yep.
I've got a couple of quotes up there from some mates.
Yeah.
My Joe Chu, who you met last night, it says, "You don't have to be smart, just set the bar low." And I thought, oh, that's perfect. I got to write that one on there, remind myself not to take myself seriously. And then Amber has said, even dumber. So I thought, oh, dumber. Yeah, perfect. And then just, silly things like, don't use glaze for colour matching. I only just learned that one. If you use glaze and try to colour match, it darkens the next day when it dries.
Oh.
So still learning.
Yeah. Well, and maybe that's it. I mean, I call myself the eternal apprentice. I do this podcast because I love to learn.
Yeah.
So you've just taught me something. You've taught me many things so far. But whether I'll remember them all, and even if I journaled them, I wouldn't make sense of it all. But we absorb something, and so you're absorbing from them, and this is a learn. This represents your learning process, I guess. Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah.
One of the best things I did pick up from art school was the mind map. And when they first brought it up, I was like, oh, this feels like primary school. Actually, shockingly helpful. So when I got the call from Despard, I was here offering me the solo show. So I started to mind map, think about what I was going to do for that. That's what this is.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how much of it I actually stuck with, because I don't think I ever looked at it again, even though it is right there. I think I probably followed it a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a helpful tool.
Isn't it? Yeah. Some of us just aren't list writers, and mind mapping is for those of us who have work surfaces like this.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
What those watching don't know is that there is organisation over my shoulder here, which definitely comes from George's your engineering background, I assume.
Yeah.
I can relate to it. There's a shadow board with tools on it, so it's sort of there is order amongst the chaos.
Yeah.
If I can say that.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. Order amongst the chaos. Yeah, and I think that's actually how people have described my paintings in the past as well. There's sort of, I'm trying to order the chaos a little bit.
Yeah, right. I get that sense. Again, I've not really, I wouldn't knowingly have stood for a period of time in front of your painting and tried to understand it. Not that I would know what to do or say, but I sense that you've talked about intimacy. You talked about sort of making sense, but the 80-20 rule that you apply, where it's sort of that 20% being the hard work, and that then being that bringing order to what you have produced, so it's ready to go out into the world.
Yeah, I never actually realised. Yeah, the 80% is chaos and the 20% is organising it. Never actually thought about that, but yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing there.
There you go.
Oh, there you go. That's a good one for me to remember. I knew I'd learn stuff out of this. Nice.
Yeah, maybe I'll get on the board.
Yeah, I reckon. I reckon you will. 80-20.
Look, that's George. That's amazing. Yeah, thank you. I love it when we get red hot tips. That's why we all tune in. That's why I do what I do. It's something that I hadn't. I haven't dissected my photographic process, but I wonder if there's an 80-20 rule. I mean, there's so many 80-20 rules in life, the Pareto rule. It's like, I'm going to go away and look at my work in progress, and see what's happening there. Let's get to, so we've talked about your opening this coming Friday.
Yep.
Yeah, look, good luck with that. That's amazing.
Thank you.
I wish I could. I wish I could make it back down. But I like to say I'll get there towards the end, and as that's ending, you won't be in town. You'll be So
No.
we're back to Maggie again.
Yep.
So I know this from Maggie. You're off to Queenstown.
Yep, off to the West Coast.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love it over there. It's just fantastic. It's so, I don't know, it feels really cozy. I have a lot of people tell me that they don't like it there, or they think it's, I don't know, the weather sucks, or it feels sketchy or whatever. I don't think so at all. The weather does suck in that it rains a lot, but I find that cozy. I find it exciting. It's like exhilarating to be in wild weather. And just, you're in this tiny little town surrounded by enormous mountains, and it's stunning.
Yeah.
And there's so much history, and there's so much in the natural landscape, and there's so much to do and see if you like being in nature. And if you do like to see the aftermath of industry and the effect that that has on the environment, it's just beauty everywhere, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So is that going to be the start of a new body of work, do you think? Or is it well, is it an is it interstitial between what you've just completed, what you plan to do next? I mean, what is that going to be for you?
I think it might actually be a sort of satellite body of works. I'm not really sure what my second solo with Despard's going to look like yet, so I'm not going to put anything in stone. But because I do work in place, I'm going to uproot my practice and move it to Queenstown and work in place there. So I won't be referencing anything here anymore. And Maggie and I, we both get pretty like hyper focused. So I don't even know how much we're going to be talking to each other. We're going to be set up on different sides of the room, just full focus. It'll be really good though, because we want to do some collaborative paintings. We don't really know what that's going to look like yet, but trying to marry two very different painting styles and seeing if they sort of make or break each other. I think they could really enhance each other if we figure out how we're going to do that, because I'll be a bit tentative not to work over her really beautiful, painstaking, detailed work. So I don't know if we're going to swap back and forth or how we're going to do that, but I think it'll be really interesting because we're both really drawn to super bold and quite saturated palettes. So I think our palettes will sit together really nicely. I think we both have a real interest in composition and directional forces and sort of the rules around what makes a composition. So that'll be interesting, even just to develop our own understandings further, to explain to one another why we do things the way we do them and go, oh, I do it that way, or oh, I've never thought about it that way. So I think it'll be really great for growth. And actually, I was talking before about how I like to mix things up and change media when I get bored. I am tempted to do printmaking because Ray Arnold is there and has a studio space called Press West. He's got 2 massive etching presses. I like doing big etchings. So I was thinking before the art school year ends, I'll sort of break into the art school, down into metalwork and get some big sheets of metal so I can get the angle grinder out and draw into that. So I don't know. It's open-ended at the moment. But either way, I think we're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, nice.
We're trying to get funding at the moment because we're both going to have to come back and work a lot. So it's going to be a bit of work. Oh. Because it's a 5-hour drive in my little car.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed for you. Yeah. That is. I think that residency out there, it is. That's a huge hike. I mean, from where I live in the north of the island, it's hard to get to Queenstown. You've really got to want to go there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I do. I go there maybe like 4 or 5 times a year.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just sleep in my van by the lake, and sometimes I stay in the gallery, or I took my tent last time, and that was a bit more comfortable than my car. And just like when you come across like Burberry, and there's that bridge, and you got the water on either side, and you got the mountains. Took my kayak once. That was unreal. Yeah, it's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
Because I haven't really been there in the summer so much. I did a residency there for a couple of weeks during honours in the middle of winter. I got so sick. I lost so much weight.
Yeah.
I couldn't eat. I couldn't go back to uni. It was fun. I still had fun. But oh God, I got sick.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. Yeah, no, I get this from you, George. You're constantly pushing yourself, interrogating yourself through your work, and this sounds like the natural extension to your practices, like where you need to go next.
Yeah, I think you're right. I definitely don't like to sit still with anything for too long, and it sort of gets me in trouble a little bit in a commercial space because you're not like a brand exactly, but you're meant to be like putting your name out there as something people can recognize. So they sort of go, oh, that's a George Kennedy. And these new works, they're obviously a George Kennedy as well. So people can make that connection. And so they can get to know your work, even if they don't know you. But I do like to change a lot. So all my friends can keep up because they're seeing all these little incremental changes along the way.
Yeah.
But if a major show is 2 years apart and I've gone from pure abstraction into something more figurative, people are like, oh, where's this artist come from? I don't recognize this. Yeah. So it's kind of detrimental a little bit, but I don't think I could sit with something for too long.
No, and you're not, or, I understand what, the market's perspective on you, but that's not why you make art.
No, God, no. No, I'm really happy with this body of work. I think, I think the first body of work that I'm actually happy with. And I'm not saying that it's like, this is the end, I'm not going to grow from here. It's a launch pad. Yeah. This is I've built a foundation to now launch off, I think, is this body of work.
So cool. Look, I can't wait to see where you head next. I'd love to follow your journey. I'm sure listeners, viewers would too. How can people find you, George?
I'm just on Instagram at george.kennedy. And that's it. I started building a website, got bored.
You've got a page with Despard's website?
Oh, yeah. You can just Google Despard Gallery and they've got a really clean, easy to navigate website. It's got all their artists on there. It's got upcoming exhibitions, so mine will be up there as now on. And you can see all the photos of my work, or you can go into the gallery.
Yes.
As of next Wednesday, they'll all be up on the wall. So I'm going to drop in just to see them. So I've got no idea where they're going to put them all. I'm excited to see how they curate that.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so you already gave us the dates through October into the first week of November, 9th, I think you said. It's the last chance. And Salamanca Place.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you don't know where that is and you're in Hobart, just pop into the Tourist Information Centre because, and it's very well signposted. Everyone heads for Salamanca, right?
Yep.
It's a great spot to have your work on show. And, definitely get down there. I'm going to be getting there. And I look forward to the second show. I look forward to keeping in touch with you, George, because I've learned so much from you today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me. This was really fun.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Connect, Curate, Create. I hope you found inspiration and insights that you can apply to your own creative work. For highlights and links, check out the show notes. And be sure to follow us on your favourite podcast player so you never miss an episode. Tune in next time as I continue to explore life and work in the arts.